For more on the story, I'm now joined in studio by Qaanitah Hunter. Qaanitah, good morning. Thank you so much. I'm sure you haven't slept a wink.
Mr. Chaba, it has been a fast-moving story and lots of developments. Obviously, last night we heard from Israeli officials and then Benjamin Netanyahu, followed by Donald Trump, saying that Ayatollah Ali Khamenei had been killed. But we were waiting for that confirmation from Iranian state media. They have confirmed now that the supreme leader of Iran was killed in his home and that his daughter, son-in-law and grandson were also killed. We know that the attack on his home in Iran also was part of efforts by Israel and the United States yesterday, and what they said was an effort to force regime change and to demilitarize the Iran. Now, it's an important development because how this has been framed is absolutely important into what happens coming next. We know that Iran, in the immediate aftermath of the Israel and U.S. attacks, had began retaliatory attacks on Gulf states, on U.S. bases. They say at least 27 U.S. and Israeli bases have been targeted for the last day. Now, with the confirmation of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, they are vowing that things will escalate quite rapidly, and we've been seeing this in the last few hours. So when State TV confirmed Khamenei's death, they framed it as martyrdom. They say that, there will be a 40-day mourning period, and we are already seeing thousands and thousands of Iranians across the world coming out in mourning. Now, there has been official warning of retaliation. Iran's Supreme National Security Council, that has been quoted on their national state TV, warned that this will definitely trigger retaliation, and they're saying that the killing was a move by the oppressors. We're already seeing anti-US and anti-Israel slogans being chanted all over Iran, and Iran's Revolutionary Guard now vowing severe and decisive punishment. Now, when it comes to the Ayatollah, he's been in charge as the supreme leader for the last 37 years. He is more than a religious leader, according to Iranian constitution. If you look at, he took over in 1989, Masachaba, and played a role as the ultimate authority over Iran, but also, as per the Iranian constitution, the religious leader of Muslims, Shia Muslims across the world.
Okay. And for the purpose of our viewers, when we say the ultimate authority, we mean as in not just religiously, but does being a supreme leader mean he was what, like equivalent to the president, or what was his particular role, and what position did he hold in Iran particularly, and in light of what triggered the recent U.S. and Israeli military action against Iran?
So he is basically the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, intelligence and security services. So he is above the president, above parliament, and has been for the last 30 years. He has been for a long time in the crosshairs of Israel and the United States, and they believe that removing him and killing him will result in change for the Iranian people, with the US and Donald Trump accusing him of being the ultimate oppressor of the Iranian people. Now, there has been some celebration by those who may have believed him to have been a divisive and oppressive force in Iran and across the world. But again, it's important to know that history shows us that when the similar incidents happened in Iraq with the killing of Saddam Hussein, in Libya with the killing of Muammar Gaddafi, that this did not result in immediate change and reprieve for the people there. And so the concerns now is that what likelihood that this continues into an all-out regional war, and can this be sustained for a long time?
Let's actually expand on that. I mean, what does Khamenei's death mean for Iran's political direction?
All right, so right now there has been a temporary council that has been set up to work out the issues of succession. But you'd recall that he is not the only one that has been killed. There has been some senior officials in the military, senior commanders that have also been killed. His top advisors have been killed. So a destabilizing moment for the Iranian regime at the moment. And quite importantly, that the process going forward is legislated by their constitution. The question is, how much does the war affect that process in any way, and how long will the U.S. and Israel persist in their attacks in Iran, and will that be allowed to continue?
And what will the impact be on global geopolitics as well as the impact on us as South Africans?
All right, so we know that the Islamic Revolutionary Guards said that they will continue their sixth wave of attacks now this morning on U.S. and Israeli sites and military bases across the region. Now, what we saw, there's been escalation across the Middle East, in Qatar, in the United Arab Emirates, and these attacks have not been confined to military bases. We've seen attacks on residential buildings. We've seen missiles land on hotels, airports. The UAE has been severely affected. Dubai airport has been attacked. There has been injuries there. Abu Dhabi, the same. Qatar's saying that the death toll sitting at 8. That could be an escalating figure. So Iran is determined now, and I think that the confirmation of the death of the Ayatollah has reaffirmed their retaliatory stance, and they are essentially saying that we will not go down alone. Now, what does Israel and the U.S. do next? The question is, how much of pressure will these Gulf states put on the U.S. to halt their attacks against Iran in an effort to bring some sort of stability in the region? This cannot go on for very long. We know the economic hub that the UAE, for example, plays, and much of the Middle East that has been affected. It's a major transport hub with flights in the airspace being closed. How long does that survive for? We know that Qatar Airways, for example, a major transport hub in the region, saying that they will refund passengers for the next 7 days. Is there a assumption that this will persist for the next week? So a lot of concern, a lot of people stranded across the world, but more importantly, there is a level of concern of what will this mean in terms of escalation. If yesterday was as deadly as it was with Iran's retaliatory strikes, with Israel and the US strike killing over 100 children in schools in the southern part of Iran, how deadly, how bloody does this continue to be, and to what end? We heard from the United Nations Security Council late last night calling for a ceasefire, but who actually brokers this, and who actually forces this through, and to what end? And so again, a seminal moment, the killing of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. He's been in charge of Iran for 37 years. The US and Israel claiming victory over this, labeling him as the enemy of the US and Israel, and saying that this will restore peace. But will it?
Will there be a possible power struggle between Iran's clerical and military leadership?
I think at the moment there is a lot of instability and shock, really. It's been so many years that they had this one overarching figure in charge in Iran, and so I think that for now it will be a matter of figuring out how to survive as a regime versus this kind of personal interest. So the real question then is not so much who succeeds him in the long term, but what is the decision by this interim council in terms of retaliation?
Right.
And I think that will be one to watch.
Now, there's a post from the official account of the Israel Defense Forces saying ongoing strike, 30-plus targets so far in western and central Iran, including serial defense systems, missile launches, regime targets, military command centers. The IDF will continue to degrade the Iranian regime's capabilities until they can no longer threaten our people.
Yeah, and Iran saying the same thing, that they have been targeting an air base in Tel Aviv. They've just come out now to say that they have that they will continue striking military bases in Israel, and saying that Israel is not showing the true extent of the attacks there. You know that Israel has a very strong iron dome, as you like, to repel missiles, and the shrapnel of that has been falling, you know, in Palestine. We've seen, you know, destruction in parts of Jordan, in Erbil as well. And so, again, the entire region completely and utterly in chaos at the moment. And the question is, how long does this continue for?
And very briefly, before I let you go, I mean, what does this mean? What does Iran's constitution say about the succession after the death of a supreme leader? Is there a designated successor, or how will a new leader be chosen?
All right, so the Iranian constitution sets out a path for the transition period. So the government has already announced that an interim council will run the country until the assembly of experts elect a new leader. There is no timeline for that, so it could take weeks, it could take months, but at the moment we know that there's already an interim structure and council that has been in place, and that will obviously lead the army, the Revolutionary Guard, as well as military and intelligence forces as they find themselves in the middle of war.
Whew, it's a lot. Qaanitah, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
All right, Qaanitah Hunter in studio with me, just laying it all, you know, bare, especially for you at home, trying to understand and make sense of what's happening in the world.